It was the worst hurricane to hit Connecticut since the 1930s. Tomorrow marks 40 years since Hurricane Gloria tore through Connecticut, leaving behind destruction many still remember. Gloria grew into a powerful Category 4 hurricane with winds up to 145 miles per hour. After battering the Outer Banks, the storm raced up the East Coast, making landfall in Connecticut on September 27th. The impact was immediate.
People were left without food and electricity, and it turned out to be a very ugly situation.
Nearly 700,000 people lost power, some for more than a week. More than 100 state roads were shut down by downed trees and power lines. Not to mention the extensive damage done to property and boats on the coast.
Our 27-foot Catalina sailboat wound up in the condominiums in Black Rock. It hit the seawall and had a big hole in its side.
In all, Connecticut saw $60 million in damage. Nationwide, Gloria killed 8 people and caused nearly $1 billion in destruction. The storm's impact was so severe, Gloria was retired forever from the hurricane name list.
And if you rode out the storm like Sam and I did 40 years ago tomorrow, you don't forget it.
That's right. It was exactly 40 years ago today, Tim, and I've been telling the story off air that I was in college here, Southern Connecticut State University, and I was on duty. I was the forecaster in our forecasting class. I wrote a little forecast, sent it to the professor, because we used to put a map down in the science building at Southern Connecticut on the basement floor. It would be a still map like this one here. Actually, this was probably the same map I used, and the professor read it, and he goes, you think this storm's really going to come right at us? What if it goes out to sea? So I toned it down, and of course the following week, he gave me an A for the class, but it was funny. It was just a funny situation, and I just cannot believe it's 40 years ago today that we were prepared, and then by tomorrow, 40 years ago, it actually happened. And I'll have more on that as we move along.
I just remember being 9 years old in South Windsor, and there were some really big trees in the woods behind our house that came down, and I don't think I put 2 and 2 together about how bad it would have been if they came down on our house. Thankfully, they didn't. But I do remember us putting up the tape on the windows in the X pattern, which I don't think now we know does anything.
Doesn't really work.
We thought of it at the time, and being 9 years old, I remember it was kind of cool.
That's right.
But
one thing about it 40 years ago, that was well forecasted by the Hurricane Center. We knew 5 to 6 days ahead of time, thankfully.
There's a lot of preps. All right, Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can't believe it's been 40 years.
I know.